I'm Mike,
And I'm Amber. Welcome to the Covenant Chronicles,
where we tell you the truth about relationships,
giving you the tools to build the foundation you always needed. Welcome back to the Covenant Chronicles.
Hello.
That again.
Yeah, I had to get back to it. So if you listen to the last podcast, you're going to be like, dang, Amber's still sick? No, it's because we recorded them back to back. I had a lot to say, but we're not going to do like a 2-hour podcast. So we just broke them into 2, and you guys will be listening to them, well, depending on if you listen to them every week or if you're just listening to them back to back. It's either 2 separate or it's a week apart, depending on how you listen. But that being said, last time we were talking about what it means to be a man worth following. And, part of this is the way we say things and the way we do things. And, I built a whole audit because we had a conversation before about the things that we say and how they can affect us and how they can affect those around us. And I had built like a whole word audit, basically, to audit the way we talk to ourselves and the way we talk to those around us, right? And it's the worksheet I use with clients, and I'm going to do it actually at our men's group as well. And the purpose behind it is that, words make a difference. They impact our lives more than we know. The Bible says life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? And, you have other scriptures to support that, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, and all these things. And, when you talk about like, well, God created everything by speaking it, right? Like the sound, the frequency and vibration, and that creates life, right? Like, we have the power to kill things or create life by what we say. And what's so interesting about that is I wanted to bring this up, this fact, right? Or point about that. And it has to do with, people don't remember what you say to them. They remember how it made them feel. And I was thinking about this from, when we were talking about on the last podcast, just the craziness that we've had going on lately. And the fact that like last week we got into it a little bit, and I had said something to describe how I felt you were acting in that moment. And the way it was portrayed made it seem like, no, you've been doing this for the past couple weeks. And the way it was received by you is I was saying this is your identity, right? Which is, it was quite literally the complete opposite of who you are, right? And it was a stupid choice in the moment where I said something I shouldn't have. And now it was how I felt in that moment. But the reason why I felt that way had to do with something I needed to work on and not who you are. And the importance of that is to show people that you can't let your own feelings and emotions kill yourself or those around you because you let a temporary feeling based on something you need to work on contribute to death in your life. And why I say this is because there's so many places that people don't realize this, right? So let me give you an example. How often have you heard when you're talking to other couples, right? And I was guilty of this actually when I was talking to our friend. I brought this up last time. We have this, Saturday meeting in the morning. We have coffee and talk. And he had I had mentioned something. He called me out on it. See, this is why it's important of who you put in your circle, right? And he called me out on it because I was talking through the situation and not trying to validate. It was we had just basically been honest and said, yeah, we went through something this last week, with our friends, and, here you go. And, I think he was actually, I don't remember how the conversation, where it stemmed from, but I had basically said something. Oh, no, it was the labels that we use with the children. That's what it was. And so I had said, yeah, our problem is, and he was like, don't say that. And I was like, what? It's like, don't say our problem is. You guys are working on. And I was like, dude, how many times do people say that in their relationships? My problem is, his or her problem is, our issue is, his or her issue is.
Mm-hmm.
You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Those words, even though you may not intend them that way, are killing your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We are currently working on, we're working together on.
It's funny as I mentioned, I said something the other day at women's group about like I'm struggling with,
Mm-hmm.
and Teresa did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should not say I'm struggling with and change that to something else.
Right. Because it puts a label and then you identify yourself as a struggle, right? Or when I say, if I say our problem is, because this is what I did. I said our problem is that we do this, right? And what it had to do with, because here's the funny thing, the conversation was about the word choice we used. So for those that don't know, we are a blended family. If you've listened to our other podcasts, you probably know that by now. If you haven't, here you go. Here's the info. There's I have 4 biological children. You have 3 biological children, right? Together we have 7 kids.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have done it intentionally. But what we found is that through the course of just discussing, right? We live in this society where we try to shorten words. We try to abbreviate things. We try to make things easier to say, right? Think about language and how it's evolved even in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? So much has been abbreviated. And then think about the kids now. They're saying all kinds of crazy stuff, which I'm sure our parents said about us too, right? Of these different acronyms and shortenings or language being shortened. And you're like, that's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we live in this society where people continue to do this. One thing we've done is just to quickly identify it's your kids, my kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? The other set of kids. But here's the problem with that people are like, yeah, what's the issue? The issue is that it creates division. The issue is that we're creating a line. The issue is that there's 2 separate sets of kids. It's not our kids. There's 2 separate sets. And what it creates for us is a dynamic where we flop roles on, instead of the way we operate with our kids, it's our roles flop depending on which set of kids are here. And it was funny because we were talking about that. And I was like, yeah, our problem is, and then it was, don't say that. use this. And I was like, dude, light bulb moment, right? Because like we talk about the words are important, and there's a lot of things we go through and we talk, right? When we talk with people, but it's like the more you practice this, it's similar to say like jujitsu or martial arts. The more you practice, and the better you get, the more skills that you learn and you increase and improve on that skill set, then you get a different belt. You get a different belt. You get a different belt, right? And it like represents your ability. Well, much in the same way that you have to practice when you're doing these things that we talk about, there's always something, right? Like there's always that next layer. There's always that next piece, that next layer of the onion that you peel back. And it's like, okay, we can work on this, right? And every piece that you change, because nobody's got it down perfect, right? People that have been doing this 25, 30 years, mentors that we look up to, still don't have it perfect, right? And this for us was like that next piece. It was like, oh, let's attack this, right? Because we identified we're always looking to try and create more consistency and stability in our lives and for the kids. And this was one thing. It was like the roles flopping. Okay, how do we do that? How do we make it to where you and I are actually level and even, regardless of what kids are in the house? And that's it, right? It's the language we use. It's not your kids and my kids. It's our kids. It's, hey, yeah, it takes a little more work to list out their names, right? Or if we're talking about, the kids that are currently in the house, hey, the kids here, like that's okay, right? But your kids, my kids, other set of kids, not necessarily something you want to keep saying, because it creates a division, right? It creates two teams. It creates two different sets of kids, right? But how often do we do that in our relationship? Think about it. Something as simple as, our problem is, or his or her problem is. One, if you're saying her or his, you're not taking accountability. But two, if you're saying problem or issue, then you're creating a problem in your relationship. It's not something that you guys are working on together. It's not a task that you guys are being a team to accomplish. It's a problem, right? And there's a real issue with that, because you're now putting something and literally planting the seed of a problem inside of your relationship. When you talk about the Bible and it talks about planting these seeds, right? What seeds are you planting? And if you're using these words inside of your relationship, what seeds are you planting in your relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not good ones. If you're saying, hey, we have problems, we have a problem, does that mean that you just suddenly don't have anything to work on? No. But how different is the dynamic when I say, me and my wife are currently working on, me and my wife are working together on.
This is currently harder than I would like for it to be.
Nah, we gotta get rid of that one too. Nothing's hard. It's just different.
Oh, my Lanta. Okay.
Nothing's hard. It's just different. We haven't practiced it enough yet. We haven't dealt with it before. We haven't yet figured out the resources to make it happen. It's not hard. Just like the kids, just like I tell them, right? They say they can't do something. Nope, we don't use the word can't in our house. I'd rather you cuss than say can't. You say fuck before you say can't. We got to get rid of the word hard too, because at the end of the day, is it actually hard, or is it just different? Is it something that's different than what you've done before? Is it something that you just haven't practiced enough? Right? We could say everything's hard the first time you do it.
Yeah.
But is there anything out there that really, if you do it enough times, isn't like, okay, this isn't too bad? Now, that how much time you have to put in to get to that point can vary for sure based on your abilities and what exactly that task is. Right? But that doesn't change the fact that it's different or you haven't got enough practice at it yet. But that's the thing. Stop putting problems in your relationship. Your relationship doesn't have problems. You have things that you and your spouse are working on together. Your spouse doesn't have an issue or a problem. You don't have an issue or a problem. You have something that you're currently working on. You have something that they're currently working on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but they're not. They keep doing the same thing. It doesn't seem to change. Okay. Well, you guys have a you guys are working together on this current situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is like we continue to do that, right? The issues, the problems, you know, we've talked about the words saying they always or they never, and how that's super important not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But sometimes it's these other things, right? And we've talked about this, like you're not going to get it all at once. You need to practice, but this is another layer that people really just don't pay attention to, right? And we could inadvertently be creating death inside of our relationship because we're not being cautious of our word choice. And in the last podcast we talked about, where I talked about, because you were dying and could barely talk, but I talked about being a man worth following.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it. You should be auditing your language. You should be leading your home, right? Like when we talked about this, like I told you the other day, I said, this is important to me. We're going to get rid of the language and we're going to work on this together. There's no longer your kids and my kids or other kids. It is our kids. It's listing them by name. It's listing actual identifying factors. Hey, the younger 3 boys, the older 2 boys.
Yeah.
Right? The oldest girl, the youngest girl. I mean, that pretty much describes all of the kids right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of like you showing up to be a leader. Like you should be doing that. Oh, we've talked about this before. There's, you don't like, I've heard this where, because I've talked to men about drawing boundaries with women, and one example I give a lot, because this seems to be a super, super common one, is, you get in an argument or fight and yelling and screaming ensues, and, she starts yelling or getting upset or whatever. And then the guy lets that affect his emotions, and then he starts getting upset and yelling and screaming. And I'm like, for what? Like, for what? Draw a boundary. Why is that acceptable? And they're like, whoa. I'm like, it's not about being controlling. Hey, draw this boundary. Hey, this isn't acceptable inside of our relationship. This is not how I want to operate. I'm willing to listen, but we have to bring it to a respectful level. If not, I'm going to end the conversation. She going to be pissed if you end the conversation? For sure. Set the boundary, right? But this is why I bring this up. That same guy, a lot of times, will do things like, you know what your issue is? You know what your problem is? So you're telling her that you don't want her to talk a certain way, but then you're willing to plant these seeds in your spouse or in your relationship that are just killing them or killing you.
Yeah.
That's not to say we're perfect. Like, we both say things from time to time that, but they're not repeated, right? Like, when we draw that boundary, it's not something that typically keeps happening. Maybe twice, right? But we really don't have anything that's been like, oh, well, you've done this, for most of our relationship, or you've said this, right? At a certain point, we say, hey, this isn't okay. It gets thrown out. So we don't potentially say something different. No. But we consistently weed out those words and weed out those seeds, right? And we consistently try to audit the things that we say and the way that we talk because it's important.
Yeah.
You're either going to plant seeds of good fruit or you're going to plant death in your garden, right? In yourself, in your spouse, in your kids, in your house, right? In your life, your relationship, all of it, right? That's why we've gotten rid of this word can't, right? That's why we do I am statements with the kids. We're still working on it with some of them. But we do all that because it's your job as a parent to plant good seeds in your kids. But what are you doing in your relationship, right? I wonder why so many people have identity issues nowadays. Are nonstop planting these seeds of death in themselves or in others in a relationship.
Yeah. It's true.
So audit the way you say things, the way you address your spouse, your relationship, the way you address the things that you're working on together, the way you address those. Are you addressing them as problems and issues? Are you saying this is hard?
I think some things are hard, but
They're
you're
not
right
hard.
about.
They're different.
No, there are some things that are hard. Like,
give me an example.
Someone died. That's hard. It's a hard feeling.
It's different.
It's not different. Oh my. I get what you're getting at, but I do think it's okay to say it's hard for some things.
You'll get there, bud.
Someone dying is that sounds awful. I'm not saying
What
that.
is that? Why? Because it sounds insensitive? That doesn't make it not right.
No.
We talked about that or they talked about that in church today, of that, there's what did they say? It was loads and weights. Is that what it was?
No.
It was loads and either way. There are things that
burdens, I think.
Loads and burdens. And there are things that you lean on or that you need to lean on others for. Or it would be greatly beneficial to lean on others.
Yeah.
Bro, that's light. Anyways, sidetrack.
Well,
yes, there are those things. And to be honest with you, I would argue though that is the same case. You are currently working through your emotions around somebody passing away. Because here's the thing. And when I say that, like, I hear what you're saying. It can sound insensitive when you say you can't say hard, right? When I put it in that perspective, you can't say hard. It's just different, right? Like, yeah, you're probably not going to say it's different when somebody passes away, right? But when you say it is hard, you are programming your brain to say this is something I can't tackle and something I can't overcome, right? I'm working through my emotions because somebody passed away. You said the same thing. It's just what the signals that you're sending to your brain, the underlying things you're sending to your subconscious, and the way you're programming yourself and the systems that you're running are very different in those two ways.
Yeah.
And the key is where are you doing this in your relationship? So that's what I got for you. Go audit the way you talk about your relationship, the way you talk about yourself, the way you talk about your spouse, when it comes to the things that society would call hard. Go audit those things. Go audit the ways that society calls things problems and issues, and go audit those things and start planting seeds of good fruit in your relationship and your spouse and yourself and all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Sorry I didn't contribute more again, but
we did 2 back-to-back in the same night while you're, coughing up a lung over here. So it's fine. But
next time I will contribute more, I promise.
On that note, I did say last time we're going to get back to a little more of the what we've been doing. So if you need community, if you need like-minded people that are focused on faith, place to talk about relationships, help work on your relationships, we created Covenant Couples. It's a community on the school platform online. You're welcome to go join. It's free to join. There's some amazing things in there. If you want to know exactly where your relationship stands, thecovenantchronicles.com, right at the top, there's a relationship audit. You can click the button, take the audit. It tells you exactly where it stands. It's going to prompt you to or at the end, to schedule a call. You do not have to do that. But if you are ready for that step and ready for people, to help you're ready for, kind of that next step and what that might look like for yourself or your relationship. You can schedule that. It's also at the bottom of thecovenantchronicles.com at the very bottom of that page. It's there as well. And you can go schedule on the calendar. At the end of the day, like, your relationship and its success or failure is on you. So, but we all need tools and we all need stuff to help us. So if any of those are beneficial to you, go take advantage of them.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, that's all I got.
All right. Well, that's it for today.
Talk to y'all next time.
We out.
Bye.
Bye.